repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
We have been given a gift by God today to usher in a new dynasty.
Now you get RFK Jr.
Don't you want a president who's going to make America healthy again?
You get Tulsi Gabbard.
Putting our country in a continual state of war.
You get Elon Musk and you get J.D. Vance.
A hell of a way to start the next 4 years.
The right-wing Avengers.
We have an army of digital soldiers.
Department of Defense under Donald Trump will achieve peace through strength.
Shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
The rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
The golden age of America has most definitely begun.
Begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay.
We're getting the dirt bags off these trees.
There's one guy who can fix this shit, and it's Donald Trump.
What's storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Guarding light in secret places, betrayed, broken, torn apart. Still the vow burns in the heart. Hidden voices, quiet prayer, scattered seeds still waiting there. In the shadows, time stood still, but the mission holds it always will. Nothing can stop what is coming. The fire, the thunder, the drumming. It's gonna be biblical, the final hour. Truth revealed in holy power. Through the decades they were called is coming.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Josh, and welcome to the Repill Project's Daily Dose, live with you Monday through Friday. Hope everybody out there is doing well and having a great end of their week. And man, we are coming up on Friday. And you know what happens on Fridays here this week anyways. Usually it's Wednesday or Fridays is we have the live Q&A. And the live Q&A tomorrow will be after Conversations on the Fringe, which there will be one tomorrow. So after that, we're going to jump into the live Q&A. And if you want to get in on that, yes, you just got to be a premium subscriber. And you can find all that information right down below at redpills.tv. But if you're on YouTube, if you're on SUBSTACK, if you're on X, those are three places you can go and get that premium subscription. And you can be in on that live Q&A, as well as locals and our private social network, socialredpill.com, socialredpill.com for everybody out there. Just as a reminder, the Great American Restoration Tour, GART 12 in Deadwood, South Dakota, is coming up on June 25th to June 28th. That is the end of this month. I will be there. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of you guys there. Hopefully we can get some pictures and have a few drinks. And then next month, July 24th and July 26th, we have the annual camping trip with the Red Pill Project. That's in Eureka, Missouri. All of this information can be found on Red Pills TV. So please go on over there and check it out. And man, what a crazy world we live in. We're at war. We're not at war. We're bombing them. We're not going to bomb them. I mean, in the market up, down. Remember yesterday, the markets were down, tumbling. Today, the market's added 1.5 trillion to the stock market. I mean, it's absolute insanity because that's what it's supposed to be. See, when you start to understand the logic of what's happening right now, Trump's kind of strategic narrative of what he is putting out there. We talked about this yesterday with Iran. The idea behind this is to basically confuse the shit out of Iran, to play these psychological warfare games with Iran. Oh, we're talking to someone in Iran and they told us to stop the bombing. And then all of the people that are negotiating with the Trump team are like, what is he talking about? We're not talking to him. Put a press release out. No, that's not happening. The ROGC is like, what are you talking about? We didn't say that. And then the next day, boom, there's a deal coming out as if someone prompted the deal. So you have to look at all of this in the idea that Iran's leadership, whomever is making the decisions, wants to know who is talking to Donald Trump. Does that make sense? They want to know who in Iran is telling Donald Trump this, or is it Pakistan that's telling him this? Or is someone going over our head? Are we being undermined? That is producing vulnerabilities within the leadership, because I believe that's the last stage of what's about to happen. I think there's going to be a revolution in Iran, a full regime change, but it's going to be done naturally through the people. And I think that the IRGC hardliners are going to be kind of removed. And I think that Trump also is out there talking about Moshtaba Khamenei, the Ayatollah, because he's dead. I don't think that this guy's alive. And I think that he keeps on saying, I want to meet him in person because I think he's dead. And he's trolling Iran about all this. At least that's my thoughts. So let's get into that. Oil prices have begun to tank. So gas prices are under $2 a gallon coming soon. Let's hope so. We're at $87 a barrel for crude. And that is down, I think, almost like $4 or $5 right now since the announcement of the end of the Iran war. Now, what happened to all of this? How did the Iran war get ended? Well, it's not officially ended, but Donald Trump came out and said that it's officially ended. And I think that this is a strong move by President Trump because he's playing his cards. He comes out today and teases that, we can go take Karg Island if we want to. And then all of a sudden, Iran's making deals because they know the significance of this. But the significance as well as the bombings over the last few days. Remember what I was saying last night? The U.S. military struck water treatment facilities 2 days ago. This was a warning to Iran. Warning. Hey, we will target all of your critical infrastructure. Then yesterday, they targeted the largest North Fars field over there, the largest gas field for Iran, as well as some other critical infrastructure. Another warning to Iran that the next level of bombings are going to decimate you. And Iran understands that this will take 20 years to prepare to go out there if Trump follows through, and he's telling them he is going to follow through, which means that now they have no choice but to come out and make a deal. Now, I don't think it's necessarily about the nuclear weapon. I think that we all understand this. It's not about a nuclear weapon. It's about something else. It's about control over the Straits of Hormuz, control over the accessibility to energy, as well as the deals that are going on between the London bankers, China, and Iran. All of this is integrated into this. The nuclear aspect, I believe Donald Trump ended back in 2019. Now, quick news as we get rolling out here. We did have an announcement today that came out. We're going to get more into the Iran stuff. I just have it a little later, so I want to get into that specifically. But I want to talk about this. We have Donald Trump rug pulling Bill Pulte. Now, I wasn't excited about Bill Pulte. I don't think anybody was excited about Bill Pulte becoming Director of National Intelligence. I looked at it as a placeholder. I said it was a placeholder until he brings out a nomination, as well as I said that he's a controllable asset for Donald Trump. So it would be very, very easy to put him interim in the place and be able to control him. But we're finding out that Bill Pulte has now been rug pulled. And the ghost of base Patrick Henry put out something interesting the other day. He said, Bill Pulte apparently called Tulsi Gabbard and told her that, her last day was going to be the 15th and he was going to take over then. I don't believe that this conversation actually happens, because if you understand how the transference of these positions kind of occur, it doesn't operate necessarily like that. The people, when she comes out and says my last day is the 30th, the last day is the 30th, you began the transition of power, usually about 15 to 20 days before, 30 days before, depending. But people are exclaiming that DNI Tulsi Gabbard is leaving because the Trump administration forced her out. This is coming from the AJ network. This is garbage and nonsense. Number one, Tulsi Gabbard is an incredibly strong-minded individual. If she wants to say something, she's going to say it. If she wanted to, right now, she could absolutely, by the way, if this stuff was true, if the allegations about DNI Tulsi Gabbard that she was remaining quiet about Joe Kent, that she wasn't speaking out about her opposition to Iran, the Iran and Israel's influence, all of that stuff. If that was true, then she could ruin the Trump administration and position herself for 2028 presidential run right now if she wanted to, just by coming out and opening up about all of that. But she hasn't. She's been 100% committed to President Trump. We know that DNI Tulsi Gabbard is not being pushed out by the White House. It's absolute nonsense that people are coming out with this. The logic of it doesn't even make sense. Now, think about the logic of this. If Tulsi Gabbard was being pushed out of DNI by the Trump administration, then we would begin to see rumblings of this. Now, yeah, this is what Laura Loomer and Alex Jones, the biggest pundits in the world that talk about these types of things, that continuously get them wrong in context. Now, DNI Tulsi Gabbard, if she was pushed out by the Trump White House, what you will see probably within the first month or 2 months when that first interview comes out is her coming out there throwing the Trump administration under the bus. I do not think that that's going to happen. I think it's going to be quite the opposite. I think it's going to be very similar to Dan Bongino. I think she's going to come out. She's going to do her media run. She's going to say, I love the Trump administration. They're amazing. This is what I uncovered. This is what they're doing. And she's going to inform the people of the things that she saw, that she uncovered, and she was declassifying all the various different roadblocks of the deep state. She is going to lay and map that out. The reason I say that is because I think that is one of the main reasons that she's leaving. That you can't tell the people, you have to show them. But we have Jay Clayton coming in, and Jay Clayton, I think, is going to be the action man for Donald Trump in this position. We'll talk about that here in a second, but more on DNI Tulsi Gabbard. So people are saying that she was forced out by the Trump administration. Tulsi Gabbard isn't the type that when you force her out, she's just going to remain quiet. And the Trump administration, it makes no sense whatsoever that they would do something like that. If they did, then we got a lot of things to talk about, because Tulsi Gabbard was doing an amazing job. Now, the relationship between DNI Tulsi Gabbard and the CIA, this is something that's interesting. You know, you go back 2 weeks ago, the CIA was spying on DNI Tulsi Gabbard's task force and DNI Tulsi Gabbard. They pulled back massive amounts of classified documents pertaining to MK Ultra. We know that John Ratcliffe either knew about this or didn't know about this. If he didn't know about it, he should be fired. If he did know about it, he should be fired. But what happened to that conversation? That conversation just went away. What it shows us is that DNI Tulsi Gabbard is a target of the Central Intelligence Agency. That's the most important part, is that she was uncovering the secrets of the CIA, their funding, how they operate clandestinely, and their deep, dark secrets. And someone did not want that uncovered. Obviously, we saw that her husband has a rare type of bone cancer. I don't look at this as something that naturally occurs. I think that this was targeted directly by the Central Intelligence Agency, and that she understands that the heat in the kitchen is very, very high. She wants to go care for her husband, and so she's stepping back and letting someone else take the role. And that person is Jay Clayton. So Trump has nominated Jay Clayton, who is current U.S. Attorney at SDNY, Southern District of New York, as the new Director of National Intelligence. This can get very, very interesting. So Jay Clayton has been very outspoken about election integrity, about the elections. So he's former SEC chairman and current U.S. attorney at SDNY. Clayton has built a reputation investing in complex financial networks, corruption, and institutional misconduct. So Jay Clayton is one of those people that understands that the 2020 election was fraudulent and stolen. He's one of those people that's been very outspoken about FISAgate, about Russiagate, all of this stuff. Not only that, is there some other caveat here that I don't think people are making the connection to. He's the current U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York. Now, why is that important? The Southern District of New York is where the indictment for Nicolas Maduro came about. Nicolas Maduro is being prosecuted in the Southern District of New York by Jay Clayton. Start to put this together. The point of the DNI right now in the Trump administration, what Tulsi Gabbard's been doing, putting together various different task forces, looking into election integrity and infrastructure, pertains to Venezuela, Cuba, CCP, the Obama and Biden administrations, pertains to the stealing of U.S. elections by foreign adversaries. You have Nicolas Maduro, who is locked up in New York, being prosecuted by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton, who is now going to become DNI, Director of National Intelligence, who, by the way, Jay Clayton has the access to all the documents, all the testimonies of the two different generals that are sitting right next to Nicolas Maduro, of Nicolas Maduro himself. He knows the stories, he knows all the players involved, and now he's going to be the Director of National Intelligence, where he can go in there and start removing various different people in the U.S. intelligence community who knew about this, who were a part of this, who were integrated in these operations. He knows where to look in the CIA for the various different files that he needs. He knows where to see where the money was flowing from. Think about that for a second. I think that that's pretty huge with everything that's going on. So Jay Clayton, people might not like him. People might like him. I don't know. I think he's done a great job as the U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York. And I think that he's a good pick, not a great pick, a good pick for Director of National Intelligence. I definitely would have liked to have seen Devin Nunes. But also, it also goes to the psychological warfare tactics that Trump uses, if you think about this. He throws Bill Pulte out there, which it makes no sense that Bill Pulte would be in there, but other than a placeholder and a controllable aspect by Trump. And then he puts Jay Clayton. I think it's very similar to Pam Bondi and Matt Gaetz. I said this before a few weeks ago, whoever this is, it's going to be very similar to the situation, is that you throw someone out there that you know the Senate hates and will never confirm. You begin the public discussions and you begin to see, the Senate screeching and saying, no, this isn't going to happen. You can't put this guy up there. He's never going to get past Senate confirmation. And then you bring in Jay Clayton, who's well respected in Washington, D.C., And now the Senate is like, okay, wait, this is a better pick. We can work with this one, and he's going to get confirmed. I think Trump does it on the psychological warfare aspect of trying to get his candidates confirmed. These are my thoughts. Scott Bessent today. I will play this. This is a good clip. This is some wild cards going on with their Iran conflict. So this is another interesting one. Listen to this.
The economic side in terms of what we've done, and a big mistake that the Iranians made was attacking their GCC neighbors, their neighbors in the Gulf, because we had many very good allies who maybe weren't completely transparent with us on the money, Iranian money that was in their banking systems, all of a sudden became very compliant in terms of being willing to turn over accounts or help us freeze, block accounts. And then the third part was the incredible blockade. I really think it's the economic blockade of funds and the physical blockade of the ships not going in or out of the Iranian ports. Karga Island is shut down. That's their big oil loading facilities, and that means that they're going to have to start taking down the wells soon.
Now, okay, what Scott Bessent just laid out there is financial economic warfare. He's saying, number one is that we seized all different types of money from Iran around the world, from cryptocurrency to their bank accounts. Then he says they attacked their GCC neighbors and they caused billions of dollars of damage. Then he implies that money that we seized is going to go to those neighbors to repair the damage done by the IRGC, and they know that. Then he goes on to say that it was the squeezing to death of Iran economically that caused this capitulation. So today, yesterday, Donald Trump said, we could walk in there tomorrow. If we wanted to, we could put a small group of soldiers and take over the whole place. And he's talking about Karga Island. So Trump saying that he could take Karga Island. He said he's always wanted to take Karga Island, but doesn't think Americans have the stomach for it. Karga Island is roughly 1/3 the size of Manhattan and handles about 90% of Iran's crude exports. This is one of the critical junctures in Iran to where all of their oil flows. And we talked about the Trump administration sending in Marine expeditionary units or going in and taking that island specifically because it's endgame for Iran. Instead, what they did is they bled them dry through the straits, which worked and got them to the point of capitulation. Now, Trump said today that, hey, we're going to go take Karga Island and we're going to continue our strikes. They're just a few hours away from continuing strikes on critical infrastructure in Iran, which would have been devastating. By the way, the critical infrastructure in Iran, if Trump continued to strike with the 2 different warning bombings that he did over the last 2 days, on water treatment facilities, on the gas field, on the petrochemicals plant, this would have taken 2 decades for Iran to rebuild. In other words, if this next bombing run went through, this would have blown Iran back 20 years in industrial progression. That's big. And Iran understands that, and they understand that they're at that point to where they can no longer move forth with this war because Trump's next moves become disabilitating for them. And also, this is one of the ideas. This is something I don't think many people talk about. You know, everybody warns you about radical Islamic terrorism and what happens when you go to war with these types of countries, and that Iran could last 20 years with this type of war. The problem is that's not true. See, we're not talking about Iraq or Afghanistan. We're not talking about Iraq that had a decade of being decimated by U.S. bombs, and then we go to war with them. They get taken over by ISIS, and you have radical fundamental Islamics rising up and taking over cities and killing people in a post-apocalyptic industrial world. Iran is an industrial society. It is a first world nation. It is highly developed and advanced. In other words, you would have to first turn Iran into Iraq or Afghanistan by knocking them back 2 decades before you rile them up to the point to where they're going to fight like the jihadis. Does that make sense? You understand what I'm saying? Is that they're not going to go on a full jihad being a first world industrialized nation, because that is too much infrastructure that can get blown to shit. And they're not going to risk that infrastructure for a jihad, because they understand the time, the money, and the power that they lose trying to rebuild it. So Donald Trump played this correctly in the sense of financial and economic warfare, going in there and bleeding them dry of their money, taking all their money out of the banks, taking all their money out of crypto, controlling the Straits of Hormuz, controlling the flow of oil out, ensuring that Iran basically had all of their oil wells overflowing and had no money being flown in, and no tankers leaving Iran. Iran had to capitulate at some point in time, and I think we're at that point right now. Now, right before Trump canceled the strikes on Iran, he reportedly got a phone call from the Pakistanis who were mediating with Tehran. The Pakistanis told him straight up, "We have a deal." This is exactly what I posted yesterday. I said, look, one of two things are going to happen. Either Trump is going to bomb the shit and completely annihilate decapitation level event of Iran, or you're going to have the Iranians reach out to the Pakistanis. Pakistanis are going to intervene in the bombing campaigns, reach out to Donald Trump, and they're going to have a deal. This deal potentially could be different. The reason I say that is because Iran has actually came out and publicly stated that this deal is real. It is in the works. It is not finalized yet, but they are coming out and stating that this deal is real. I think that's pretty big. Now, Donald Trump came out and said that the Iran war is settled. It is over. Let's listen to what he says. This is only a 45-second clip.
Big day. I know you'll never be satisfied, but that's okay. That doesn't bother me at all. We just made a great settlement of the war with Iran, and we're going to be subject to finalization of documents, which should get done over the next few days. Probably have a signing maybe in Europe, and it's a great thing. Stock market's up 1,000 points. That means they like the deal. See, that means they like, if the market goes down, that means they don't like the deal. But it's been up, oil's dropped. Oil will start coming down to, I think, even lower than it was before. I said I was in Iowa.
So Trump there talking about it is done. Very, very interesting. Now, a lot of people are claiming that Trump is ending this war because it was a war that he didn't want to get into in the first place. Let me help people with that one. So, number one, Donald Trump has been dead set on taking out the Ayatollah Khomeini since 2017, 2018, 2019. He's talked publicly about it. He's talked publicly since for the last 2 decades about taking Kharg Island, about going into Iran and taking the Iranian oil and controlling the Straits of Hormuz. In 2019, Donald Trump had a series of various different bombings in northern Syria as well as in Iran, deep underground, 5 kilometers in what we believe to be underground military facilities building nuclear weapons. Soon after that is when Donald Trump did the strategic strike, taking out Soleimani, the head of the Quds forces there in Iran. And right after that, Donald Trump vowed that if Iran retaliates or does anything, that he will decapitate and take out their leadership, take out the Ayatollah, because we know where you are. Okay? This was back in his first administration, in his first term. He has not changed his tone. We saw this beginning. You have Benjamin Netanyahu that came out about 8 months ago stating that before they went in and decapitated Hezbollah, they went and got permission from Donald Trump to do so. In other words, Donald Trump ordered and commanded the decapitation event of Hezbollah prior to the 2024 election. When Donald Trump went in there, I mean, shit, last year, me and Alpha did shows where we're talking about how Iran is on the table, because we're talking about the three-legged table for China's energy dominance. We understood that Iran was one of those critical functions of how China can progress with artificial superintelligence because of Iran, Venezuela, and Russia, and that Donald Trump needs to neutralize that type of energy dependence that China has, and that it'd be very easy to go into Venezuela, take out Venezuela, to go in Iran and take out Iran. And these are the things that he has done. We predicted this a long time ago. You don't need Benjamin Netanyahu. You don't need Israel to go in to make all of this stuff happen. I was listening to I think it was someone sent me a clip of AJ or someone like that, and they were talking about, oh my God, Miriam Adelson, she donated $200 million to Donald Trump, and you think that $200 million comes with no questions asked? You don't know what you're talking about. Well, okay, sure. Well, what about Timothy Mellon, who donated $277 million, or Elon Musk, who donated over $350 million? Those two men, Timothy Mellon and Elon Musk, donated three times the amount as Miriam Adelson. Is her money just worth more? When you start to add this shit up, it doesn't really make sense. What does make sense is that Trump is on his own agenda in his own terms, because this narrative was very well constructed. You could see this 2 years ago as this was all working, a year ago when the Trump administration first came in. You could see all of this working itself out in the sense that Trump was going to go into Iran because there were certain objectives that he needed to do. He needed to control the energy relationship between Venezuela and China, Iran and China, and Russia and China. That happened with the Alaskan summit back in August of 2025. Obviously, we know what happened in Venezuela. That oil is now being diverted back to the U.S. Gulf states, then shipped to China. And now you have Iran, of which Donald Trump just showed the world that Iran, Oman do not control the Strait of Hormuz. The old imperial dynasty of the British Empire does not control the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump does, the U.S. military does, and they can impose their will on the Strait of Hormuz at any point in time that they want, which then gives out a warning to China that if China takes Taiwan or moves towards an act of war or aggression, that Trump can cut off the Straits of Malacca, he can cut off the Straits of Taiwan, he can cut them off from the global supply chain with a global embargo around China, and China does not like that. Now, on top of this, Trump has armed the various different Gulf nations. You have Qatar, you have UAE, you have Saudi Arabia, but all have defense cooperation agreements and pacts with the United States of America. Why does this matter? Because if China's looking for an alternative for energy and they have to go to OPEC, which if you go back to the BRICS nations a few years ago when OPEC was negotiating with China and the clearance of various oil and gas in yen, in the Chinese yuan, what you find out from that is that through the defense cooperation agreements and pacts that Donald Trump just signed with these Gulf nations, is that in the advent that China goes to war with the United States of America, that Trump has the capability to issue proxy sanctions on China through energy out of the Gulf, which means that China gets, 98% of its oil and gas from where? Venezuela, Iran, Russia, and the Middle East. Donald Trump controls 80 to 90% of all of that flow through various different cooperation agreements, through the control of the Strait of Hormuz, and through the control of the Panama Canal. China is done. This is why China is capitulating economically, and they're declining economically, and why Xi is having such a bad last 2 years. So when we start to look at this from a wider perspective, there's more to this than meets the eye. Things that I don't think that these other influencers out there that are saying a whole bunch of nonsense. I just listened to this lawyer Barnes or something like that talking a bunch of nonsense. And, my recommendation to everybody out there is stop listening to people who've been consistently wrong, who have been inaccurate, who've been unfactual, who have provided no substantiation of anything that they're saying. I mean, why? I did see a question come through, a super chat, Lisa Old Granny on YouTube, $10 super chat. Monkeyworks says that the Iran deal show $350 billion versus $1.5 billion Obama gave. Why? Thoughts? I don't know. I don't know why Monkey Works would say that. I know that the pallets of cash was about 1.5 billion, but in other aid, I guess you could probably get up to 3.5 billion. Maybe that's what he's indicating is various different other portions of aid that brought that about. So the Iran deal, we will see if this sticks. The deal, as we're seeing it right now, the U.S. naval blockade is lifted once the deal is signed. The memorandum of understanding has been approved by everyone in Iran. That is, I believe, no nuclear refinement for 15 years is what is being proposed. Carg Island operations by U.S. military is now off the table. Formal Strait of Hormuz reopening deal expected as early as Saturday or Monday. Trump declines to set a deadline for the deal, calling Iran rational and confident that the deal will be reached, and says potentially that they will sign the deal in Europe once it's done, and where he will meet Mojtaba Khomeini. So that'd be interesting. Now, here's another interesting part. Donald Trump stated yesterday, I think it was, that Benjamin Netanyahu most likely is going to be leaving politics. I don't know. I find that interesting. 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump says, I might just run for prime minister in Israel because I'm polling like 99%. And then 2 weeks later, he says Benjamin Netanyahu is potentially going to be leaving politics. President Trump today signed an executive order lifting the bullshit regulations Biden put on the American commercial fishing industry. Over 500,000 square miles of ocean was cut off from American fishermen, making it virtually impossible for the United States to compete with other countries like Canada. You have Howard Lutnick, the famous Epstein face on the wall. Somehow the United States became an importer of seafood. How crazy is that? And in the end, we are going to eat fish caught by us. What a shock. And he's right. We were eating imported fish caught in our own waters. Just a few more things. So number one is, before I get any further, tonight after this show, 1 hour from now, no, an hour and a half from now, sorry, an hour and a half from now, at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Overwatch and The Guardian, myself and Alpha Warrior, that show tonight is going to be on Adrenochrome. Yeah, you're going to want to watch that one. It's going to be a good show. That's tonight after the show. Today, Attorney General Todd Blanche just announced indictments for 3 individuals involved in massive child smuggling ring. The DOJ has officially uncovered over 15,500 super sponsor cases. The Biden administration, because of the broken border, thousands of innocent children were essentially handed over to criminal networks, traffickers, and abusers. These completely turned a blind eye while the worst of the worst exploited the system right in front of our backyard. So massive indictments on 3 individuals, and they uncovered 15,500 super sponsors. These were registered under the CSP services as handlers that take in these kids as they were taken in by the U.S. government, and then they were trafficked over into illicit crime activities, which is just mind-blowing. Mark Wayne Mullen says, we found 146,000 kids so far. Some of these kids claimed that they were, I will let him say this because this is horrific. But I want you to understand this. The elections have consequences, including stolen elections. This was all due to the Biden administration. 23 million people came over the southern border. A lot of them kids, a lot of those kids missing. If you remember, during the time of the Biden administration, Jim Jordan asked him the question, where are the 60,000 kids? We know where the 60,000 kids are, but we can't do anything about it. They were being brought over. They were going in the CPS program. They were put in with these super sponsors. The super sponsors then put in the various different human trafficking networks and rings, and they would disappear. Hundreds of thousands, over 300,000 kids. Listen to what Mark Wayne says.
And you start hearing the absolute horrific things that took place underneath the Biden administration, under true neglect at best and criminal at worst, to allow 450,000 kids to go missing throughout this country. President Trump has made it a point to go find these kids. And because of our partnership with HHS and DOJ, Department of Homeland Security, truly using the best of the best, which the Democrats sometimes want to demonize, because a lot of times this is ICE, this is HSI, this is CBP. These individuals that the Democrats seem to want to defund, but because of President Trump, we finally funded them for 3 years. We're able to push and go find these kids. We found 146,000 kids so far. 146,000 kids. We still have nearly 300,000 missing. We're investigating reports to where some of these kids claim that they were raped 600 to 700 times. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you have kids, if you don't have kids. I don't care if you're a liberal, you're independent, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican. If you can't stand for law enforcement to go find these kids, who are you?
That's fucking horrific. Like I said, I'll let Mark Winsay say it instead of me. So, over 300,000 still missing, over 160,000 found. Where are these other 300,000, and what happens to the other 600,000 that go missing each year in the United States of America? Those are some good questions. We've talked about that on this show multiple different times. And yeah, California is at the heart of all of this, right? DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen tells New York City Mayor Mamdani ICE is surging to his city, whether he likes it or not. We are going to find the worst of the worst. We're going to rescue as many kids as we possibly can. We're going to enforce our nation's laws, and we're going to be going to right the wrongs that the Biden administration turned a blind eye to. That's because of President Trump's leadership. So they're headed to New York. This is going to be real interesting. The Save America Act calls for Senate Republicans to add it to, so President Trump calls for Senate Republicans to add the Save America Act to the third reconciliation bill. So he says, look at California. They send in millions of ballots, tens of millions, so they have no idea what's going on. Those elections are so corrupt. Attaching the Save America Act to the reconciliation bill will allow it to pass with just 50 votes. Very, very smart move right here. He says no other president has been more committed to rebuilding our great military and saving our great country. And now it is time to make it happen for generations to come. I'm hereby calling for Republicans in Congress to immediately advance and pass the forthcoming $350 billion reconciliation bill, Recon 3.0, which at the request of our great Department of War will include the Save America Act as well. No weak compromises. I love this because he is putting it on senators and congressmen. He's putting it on their feet right now with this reconciliation bill, which was going to pass anyway, to put the Save America Act in there. If it can get put in there and people vote against it, they're going to lose endorsements. So we talked about yesterday how the United States Postal Service flipped the script on mail-in ballots. States must hand over their full mail-in ballot and absentee voter lists, which they're denying to give to the Department of Justice. Then they have to give also the verification that the barcodes match the actual person's name on that. That right there, that system right there will save our elections and ensure that ballot harvesting cannot actually happen. And so what we're finding today in California, tens of thousands of Spencer Pratt voters are now receiving rejection letters from the county clerk saying that their ballots were not counted due to signature irregularities. So people are receiving letters stating that their signatures were incorrect and didn't match. Now the Gavin Newsom administration out in California gives a shit about signature verification on ballots. What you're seeing is they went out there, paid $2 for ballots from all of the homeless people. They flooded the ballot precincts with those, and then they rejected a ton of ballots from Spencer Pratt. So why did that one update have 40,000 for Rahman and none for Pratt? Because all of the ones for Pratt were rejected because of signature verification. At least that's what we're starting to see. And what did Trump do today? The Trump administration is cutting off tens of millions of dollars in federal funding the Los Angeles agency that provides services to homeless as they investigate potential fraud. And I think that there's going to be more NGOs that this actually comes out. Over $1 billion in federal money since 2021 has been thrown into California to help the homeless. And instead, it made YouTube videos and bought mansions. What the fuck is wrong with these people? All right. One quick ad. We hadn't ran one yet, and I wanted to see if this other one was here yet. I gotta run these guys. I gotta run these. So we're gonna run this real quick, and then we're gonna bring in Tammy. All right, parents, real talk for a second. America's about to hit a huge milestone. We're coming up on America's 250th birthday, 250 years of freedom, grit, sacrifice, and the greatest experiment in self-government the world has ever seen. This is the perfect moment to help your kids understand why this country matters, not just fireworks and hot dogs, but the story behind it all. There's a free guide called The Kid's Guide to America's 250th Birthday, and it's honestly a great way to introduce kids to how America began, who the founding fathers were, and what they risked, and why the ideas they fought for still matter today. The guide sends kids back to the moment when brave men signed the Declaration of Independence, knowing full well they were risking their lives for freedom. It breaks it all down in a way kids can actually understand and enjoy without watering it down or turning it into boring schoolwork. If you care about raising kids who know where this country came from and why it's worth preserving, this is something you'll want to grab. And the best part, it's completely free with this special offer. You just need to pay the $2 for shipping and processing. Just head to freeusabirthday.com. That's freeusabirthday.com. And the Kids Guide to America's 250th Birthday is yours for your kids today. America's story matters. Make sure the next generation knows it. And just a little tidbit on that one. They do have a subscription that kicks in after 15 days after you pay that $2. So just keep that in mind in case you need to go and cancel. Wanted to throw that out there. And, tonight's show is Nothing Can Stop What's Coming. And this is 1 foot out the door of the old world, 1 foot in the door of the new world. And we're actually moving closer and closer of entering into the door of the new world. We're watching Trump take down the deep state. This is obviously taking way longer than anybody anticipated, but we're coming up on this anniversary, 250th birthday of the United States of America, July 4th. And I believe that that's when these festivities are going to kick off. We are going to see indictments. Investigations are wrapping up. They usually take 6 to 12 months for these various different types of grand juries. And that's the time frame that we are in. So we're watching that part unravel. One part that has been very, very quiet as of recently, until just the other day when I played a clip about this, is the AI talk, is about what is happening in this world. Medical technology, artificial intelligence, human health, longevity, all of these topics. And that's why I love bringing Tammy in, because she's a great person to talk about with this, because she is on top of all of these topics as well as me. Tammy.
Hello.
How we doing?
Good. Welcome back. How was your vacation?
Vacation was good. Got some sun.
It looks like it. And
got some sun. I got some steps in. I got some sun. It was great.
Awesome. Awesome. Well deserved. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. Where'd you guys go?
Catalina Island and then LA.
Nice.
Just LA.
Oh, wow. How was LA? How was it there?
I had some interesting conversations with some people. I talked to a few different people out there. 2 of them were definitely liberals. And we talked to how they voted for Spencer Pratt, and they're watching the election get stolen, and they're blown away by it because, they didn't believe that Donald Trump had the 2020 election, but now they're starting to rethink it because they voted for Spencer Pratt, and everybody they knew was voting for Spencer Pratt. They're all liberals, and they're like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, sometimes that's what it takes, right? Sometimes that's what it takes. I love that you brought up AI. I've got tons of stuff to talk to you about AI. Things are rolling, down the tracks pretty quickly here. One of the things that has come up recently, which I think is very interesting, on moonshots, actually, I know you're a watcher of that as well. They're starting to discuss religion and AI because the Pope has denounced AI and pretty much has said we need to stop it and pull the plug on it. But it's an interesting conversation, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. I'll be upfront with you, Josh. These podcasts, these tech, I call them tech demons. That's what I call them, because there's huge gaps of humanity and wisdom missing from these people. And I understand why, because they are so compartmentalized. The Ray Kurzweils of the world, They have been focused on developing artificial intelligence their entire life. Like Ray Kurzweil, like 40 years or whatever. He's already created a synthetic dad, his own synthetic dad. Like it's bizarre, right? So I understand how they have these gaps, but listening to these podcasts, I make myself because I want everybody to know what's going on in it. And I feel like, with everything that's going on in current events and in the news that affects our country, this topic gets sidelined all the time.
Agreed.
Yeah. And it's the most important thing going on, really, because it is going to change our way of life. So I wanted to bring up this term with you. Have you heard this? Personhood. Have you heard of personhood? So let everybody, I'm gonna lay some terms on you tonight for AI because this is a new area and there's a vocabulary that's coming with it. And it's going to take everybody to get a little while to get acquainted with the vocabulary of AI. So we're going to be like, oh, I wonder what they meant by that. What do they mean by personhood? It's the idea that an artificial intelligence system could be recognized as a person, everybody. That's what it is. Legally, morally, philosophically, and rather than merely just a tool or property. So personhood, it's a legal personhood. A legal system could grant certain rights or responsibilities to AI, similar to how corporations are treated as illegal persons in many countries. We're talking about, you guys, this is like robots, right? Like, I don't know if you guys have the flock cameras in where you're at right now, but they have just installed them all along the corridor of I-25 here in Colorado. We're already getting tickets.
So what are these? I don't think I know what these are.
Oh, flock cameras. Oh, okay. So flock cameras are surveillance cameras that are placed throughout to not only, they're not like speed traps, they take a picture of your face. They track your biological markers, okay? And, oh gosh, what they do is they collect data. You're going to get me worked up already. You're going to get me all mad, Josh. They take the data points. So if I leave home and I get somewhere too fast, then the flock cameras track me all the way there and all the way back. And they'll say, you got home too fast, or you got to your destination point too fast. And they'll send me a ticket.
How is that even legal in court?
I don't know, but they're everywhere, dude. These flock cameras are everywhere. So a lady got a ticket in the mail because a flock camera caught her with her phone on her lap. So her phone was on her lap while she was driving, and she was ticketed $150 for that. Because the flock camera, yes. So good luck fighting that in court, right? I mean, we're 2 steps away from AI court.
That's why they want to get rid of window tint.
Probably. Probably. That's what's going to happen, right? That's what's going to happen because humans don't like being surveilled. There is scientific proof that people act differently. And boy, do I have a story for you about people acting differently with surveillance. We know this, that people do not act the same, and surveillance can be used to put. Its intent is to drive behavior, right? Make people do good. But I've covered this on my show, and actually, people who are surveilled and they know they're being surveilled, they act weird. So they may do the right thing, but it actually takes a layer of humanity away from them. There's a far better way to enforce good behavior. You know what it is? Community. We do better in community. So the science says that, like, this was a study done with cyclists. If a cyclist goes out and does a run, 100% of the time, they do better mileage, faster, they recover faster when they do it in a community with a group of people. So we know that positive reinforcement through community actually supports good behavior. So instead of just like surveillance state where people act weird, fast story for you, okay? A lot of the audience knows this, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because we share an audience. Recently, it's been over a week, we had a young man drive his truck into our barn, at a very high speed, and it obliterated our barn. Okay. We had emergency responders on scene. Jason and I, we haven't been involved in a ton of things, but, we're 50.
Was he drunk?
No, he was trying to kill himself.
Oh.
Admittedly.
Picked your barn. Okay.
Yeah.
Go
Isn't
on.
that wild? Isn't that wild? Anyway, so when emergency response showed up, like I said, Jason and I are, we're 50. We've been in a few of these situations, not a lot of them, but we've certainly dealt with EMTs before. We know how things go. This was a different experience. They did not speak to us. They walked right by us. They were barely talking to each other. It was very mechanical. They put the guy on the stretcher. They whisked him away. They didn't really take our statements, nothing. And we both were looking at each other what's going on here? This is strange, right? At the very end, one of the firefighters came up and said very awkwardly, "So, hope you guys have a better day. And is there anything we can do for you?" And it was very mechanical. And the whole thing just seemed so strange to me until I woke up the next morning and I realized they're wearing cameras. So because they don't know how to relax and just interact with you anymore because they're being surveilled.
Right.
And that's not a dig on EMTs. We love these people. I just feel bad because can you imagine you want to say something like, "Holy shit." You know what I mean? Really took out your barn there. This is crazy, which would be a normal human reaction. Right? But they can't even be normal humans because they're being surveilled. And so that's why I say, okay, AI is a fantastic tool. We can use it for things, but do we need it to infiltrate our everyday life? Because it's changing our culture. It's changing how we interact with people. It's making people I felt these people don't care. This is crazy. It was so mechanical. That's the best way I can explain it. It was very mechanical. So think about that now with kids. If kids grow up knowing they're being surveilled everywhere they are, who are they going to be?
Well, it becomes the construct of 1984.
Absolutely.
I mean, where you have to sneak around in the dark corner just to read a book or have a conversation.
Yeah.
And everything becomes very mechanistic. And at first, the mechanistic aspect of it is kind of the rejection of the people from the system, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is, hey, I don't want to say anything, so I'm not going to say anything. But then as new generations come into that environment, it becomes cultural. It becomes inherited.
It's brewing with Gen Z. Let me tell you, there is a counterculture brewing. So I've featured now, we saw the commencement speeches with the Eric Schmidts and the tech guys that were embrace it. AI's coming and boo. They were getting booed, right? Yeah. Well, that shifted now. And we have some younger people giving commencement speeches and they're saying, screw AI, and people are cheering. And they're actually encouraging Gen Z. The best thing that Gen Z will do in their lifetime is and this is a quote, is kill AI.
Huh.
And they all cheered and there's a counterculture. I see it in music because I have, my son's 23. He's on the music scene. And there is a huge counterculture brewing within music to not go electronic, to do live shows, to do house parties. They have anti-algorithm cafes where they're showing up with vinyl and they're bring out all your vinyl. This is anti-algorithm night at the cafe. So it's brewing. It's going to be really interesting. I think it's Gen Z's counterculture punk to go anti-AI, particularly when it comes to art, right? They're really protective about their art. They're protective about their music. My daughter, she's in the dancing space, and they're kind of the same way. Like there's a lot of AI, they call them concept videos that are being made, with just AI dancers and stuff. And they're like, nope, not happening. So it's exciting. It's exciting that Gen Z is stepping up and claiming because art is so important to our culture. This is how we express our stories in art, through art, right? Like, think about it. Can you imagine no Mick Jagger, but like an AI Mick Jagger?
I'm not a Rolling Stones fan, but
okay,
I
bad example. Okay, what about a Stevie Ray Vaughan? Could you imagine an AI? He's irreplaceable.
So here's a few thoughts. Number one is, we have the pendulum, we have the double-edged sword. We have the amazing things that artificial intelligence is going to do for the world, right? We're moving into what's called a post-industrialized society. Even though that Trump is bringing back industrialization and jobs and all this stuff, we're moving into a post-industrialized society. Things are going to get automated. Robotics are going to take over. AI is going to manage and run a lot of this.
They're calling it post-work society, society.
That's the marketing. That's the marketing.
That's the marketing.
Right. But then on the other side of it, you have, the technological progression. I mean, this is going to skyrocket. This is going to be exponential. This is a lot of what the tech bros all talk about is, oh my God, it's happening. Oh my God. SpaceX going to be $1 trillion company, all this stuff. Right. Yeah. But one of the things that they don't talk about is the other integration, the other side of the sword that cuts and that hurts. And that is the aspect of societal integration. When cameras and TVs and anything that can take in a sensor reading begins to get integrated with artificial intelligence, that just becomes another data point for the AI. But how that information is utilized becomes the real conundrum, right?
Mm-hmm. A weapon. It could be weaponized. Right. Walmart was just selling $139 TVs because that one brand, what is it called? Is it Vizio? I think it is.
Yeah.
Walmart bought Vizio, and they have surveillance inside the TV, and so they were selling these massive TVs for $139, and people aren't cluing in that they're actually using it as a data collection device. And it says there you have to agree to it, or you can't use it.
Well, I mean, if I just go in and start asking questions, my phone lights up. All of your apps on your phone are integrated with algorithmic learning. And the difference between AI and algorithmic learning, people, for everybody out there, is right now all of the apps on your phone listen to you. They take every key that you stroke on your keyboard on your phone. They know exactly what it is. They take all of that data, all that information, and they build psychological profiles out there, behavioral profiles about you, so that they can market better. It's about helping you, right? So they can market better to you. Now, this is all being integrated directly into artificial intelligence these days. Which means that all of these apps are still collecting all of that data. All of that data then goes and becomes data points fed into artificial intelligence. But soon what's going to happen is AI is going to take over that whole infrastructure landscape. And when that begins to happen, instead of waiting 30 seconds for, saying, man, I need some Charmin extra soft for my ass. And then all of a sudden you're watching TV and there's a commercial for Charmin extra soft that you've never seen before. And you're like, how did that happen? Because your TV's listening to you.
Yeah.
What's going to happen next is that you're going to say, man, I need some Charmin extra soft for my ass. And about 5 minutes later, an Amazon bot is going to pull up to your door, selling it directly to you because they flew it in through a drone from the warehouse and they delivered it right to your freaking door because the AI pre-positioned itself, knew it was going to happen 3 days before. By the way, I was in LA. I wish I could show these videos. In LA, they have robotic delivery services. Did you know
the Waymos? Mm-hmm.
No, not the I seen the Waymos, the self-driving cars. We watched one freak out.
Oh yeah, I've seen them freak out too. Man, they go around the.
So we had one. It was having a passenger.
Bud. We're cooked.
There's 2 lanes here, and then there's the right turn lane right here, and there's like I'm in this lane right here, and there's like some space in this lane right here, but the person in this lane tried to cut this way and then cut this way, and the Waymo was behind them. The Waymo was behind me, and so when this person moved out, the Waymo moved out with that person, and then that person got back into this way, and the Waymo, its blinker started going left and then right, and it just stopped in the middle of the road. It didn't know what to do.
What do I do?
Because it wanted to go straight.
Sure.
But now it's in the right lane and it couldn't figure out how to get in. Oh, it was bad. But Waymo is interesting. No, they have these little carts. They're like little square boxes with like eyes on them, and they're all named, and they are on the sidewalk. Let me see if I can send myself.
Does it look like an ice box with a big red flag on it? I may have seen. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
I saw those videos. Yeah, I've seen them.
Yes. These things are crazy. And like, guys, I mean, so I'm pointing this out because that thing is collecting your data.
Yes.
It is also collecting your data. I'm going to actually send myself this little video. Cool. I got it. Let's see if I can pull this up. This will be fun to watch. If I can get my screen still up.
The dogs are the freaky, those little robot dogs. Did you see any of those over there?
Those did not see any of those over there.
I know likey. I know likey that. They freak me out.
But what I'm trying to get to with all of this is that we are moving into a world to where there are going to be benefits and there are going to be horrible fucking things that come about because of AI. Now, why is that important? Because we need to fight against the horrible shit that's going to happen. Yeah. We have to ensure that laws are passed so these things don't happen and can't happen. Like, I would love to pass laws to where there can be no public surveillance, right? Like,
yes,
open public surveillance of you and me.
Yeah, it's changing people's brains, you know, and that and like I said, like that was a very like real-time event that happened here at our place, and it was dramatically different than anything I had ever experienced in that context before. And it didn't occur to me till afterwards that it was the surveillance. Mm-hmm. Then I looked it up and it's like, yeah, they're all wearing cameras. They're all wearing cameras here now. Oh my Lord. Yeah, that's wow. Wow.
They're delivery vehicles. But they're completely AI operated. I mean, this is, like people are like, dude, those been out for so long. Amazon. I don't care. This is the first time I've seen it. But what I'm trying to say is that in 5 years, that's going to be everywhere. You're going to have to compete for sidewalk space with these types of things. Flying around your head are going to be delivery drones. It's going to be Waymo self-driverless vehicles on the road that you're going to have to compete with. And it's going to be operated by various different artificial intelligences. Now, that's scary. It is scary. And I agree with you. Yeah. And that's why we need to position ourselves to the Trump administration to come about with no nonsense, rational freaking laws and rules pertaining to the utilization of artificial intelligence against humanity. And what I mean by that is not the military and the defense infrastructure, but what I mean specifically is that these cameras, these flock cameras, that should be illegal. But here's the thing, is the argument is that it's a public roadway. Mm-hmm. And that it's publicly funded, and that if I have the right to videotape and record in public, which I do through the First Amendment, then they do as well. And they're not wrong, right? Mm-hmm. But when that extends into my household through a TV or through my cell phone, setting a terms and services should not be the defining factor of that. That has to be a prompt notification. Hey, you are being recorded and your data is being extracted and utilized for profit and gain. And then you have an opt-out scenario. Or, you know, one of the things that I was back in 2011, I was actually building this out, but was to give people back their own data. Is that, look, if Facebook wants to steal my data, or all these apps want to steal my data and they want to sell it to these companies, then why am I not getting compensated for it? Pay me, mofos. Like, come on.
Yeah. The one thing I think that we could challenge this legally is, you know, everybody's within their rights. If you're on an open street, public, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can film somebody, but can you follow somebody? because essentially the flock cameras are following you. You know, they are stationary and set up in different spots, but they're actually tracking your movement. And so that may be a loophole that we can get, have some leverage on, because, one could argue that that's actually stalking. It's one thing if someone, I film you, because I see you on the street, Josh, but what if I follow you and keep filming you and show up everywhere you are? That's a different issue.
So this is where I think it gets really interesting, is we do not even know the next things that we're going to be bitching and complaining about. I mean, I say that funnily because it is that the world is going to change so much over the course of the next 5 years that we have no idea the level of infiltration into our lives that is going to occur because of artificial intelligence that we're not even complaining about right now, but is probably already present.
Yeah. And that's why I was saying, like, there's a whole vocabulary around AI that people don't even, like, it's a new dialect listening to these people talk about and invent words to describe the issues that we're going to be dealing with artificial intelligence. It's like, it's just like post-work society. Post-work society. This is a future where automation significantly reduces the need for human work, people. Well,
now you know why they wanted to depopulate the world by 90%.
Yeah. Seriously, and then transhumanism, I've been going on some other podcasts recently, and they're more like normie podcasts, I guess I would say. I've hit a couple normie podcasts, and these people don't even know what transhumanism is.
Oh, you need to send me over there.
Well, yeah. Dude. I mean, baby steps, right? But the key is unity, right? I've stayed away from those types of podcasts for a long time because I thought, my gosh, we're not gonna have anything in common and we're probably gonna end up in a blowout, right? But now I'm really understanding that unity is key. And I think we can all unify around artificial intelligence and protecting ourselves and protecting our consciousness and the consciousness of our children, and being able to still be free human beings, move freely without surveillance. I think that's a unifying issue across the board. So,
there was a thought in my head. Man, what was it? Oh, shit, go on. I'm sorry.
No.
There's something I wanted to say before you went further, but I was like, damn, I was right on the tip of my tongue. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just, I think it could be a unifying factor. And I think, everybody can agree that, being watched is creepy, not having free thought. We all grew up, well, a lot of us, I don't want to assume your whole audience, but I know a lot of your audience is Gen X, right? A lot of it is. And we grew up playing outside, and anybody older than Gen X, we all grew up playing outside. And my kids kind of lost that a little bit, even though I always push them outside and I go outside. But there wasn't the random kids in the neighborhood outside anymore like there was when we were kids. Mm-hmm. And so I used to have to fake that for them. Right? You got to take them to a park. You got to take them to these different scenarios where we are faking having a play date. Like, we didn't have play dates when we grew up. We just went outside. There was people outside. There's kids outside all the time, right? You didn't have to manufacture it. And so we kind of went through that phase where, I had to manufacture independence for my kids, where it just naturally, organically happened for us. In the AI world, we're going to have to manufacture common sense and critical thinking. We're going to have to manufacture forcing ourselves to do the writing, forcing ourselves to do the reading, forcing ourselves to practice our brains and, capture our higher faculties. And so that's something that we need to be talking about all the time. We're going to it's not going to happen by default, Just take GPS, for example. When we were growing up, we didn't have GPS. We used maps. We actually read maps. We found our way around the world. Woo! Imagine that. We're smart enough to find our way.
We did get GPS, for everybody out there who doesn't know this, it was not part of your phone. It
No,
was
it was
actually its own
separate.
little device that sat on little sandbags on your dash called a TomTom that you would have to like map in. You'd have to wait for it to get reception from the satellite. Then it wouldn't work at the time. It would get you lost.
Yep. But now, a lot of young people wouldn't know how to get from A to B without their GPS, and that's a fact. So that's because we haven't actively preserved that skill set. Yeah. And so now we have to actively preserve the skill set. There could be a time in the very near future, Josh, when people don't know how to read. Because there's just not the need for it. There's audio. It's going to be so seamless when you're working with your AGI, right? Your artificial general intelligence servant or what have you. It's going to be seamless, just like you described. The marketing is going to be seamless. You won't even know you're being marketed to. It'll feel like a convenience, right? But you're going to be buying stuff that you would have never have bought. But it's just going to be so damn convenient that you'll just be like, oh, well, I need this, right?
So the other day, I'm driving in my vehicle, got my kids in there. My daughter, who's 12, she'll be 13 next month. She's 13. My son, who's 14. And I had an old letter that Santa, my father, before he passed away, it was the last thing that he sent my kids before he passed away a month later, but he would send them the handwritten Santa letters.
Yes.
And they're all in cursive. And I handed it to my daughter. I'm like, oh, this was from, Grandpa Dan and everything like this. And she goes, I can't read it. No, what do you mean you can't read it? She goes, it's in cursive. And I said, what do you mean you can't read it?
They don't teach it.
She goes, they don't teach it. I'm like, what the hell do you mean? Like, I remember second and third grade quite literally, like spelling tests and reading tests.
Interline notebooks.
That was second and third grade was like cursive. Like, and she's like, no, they don't teach it to us. And I'm like,
yeah.
Whoa.
It's gone. It's virtually gone with these, I guess are your kids Gen Z or are they Gen Alpha probably because they're a little bit younger.
Probably Gen Alpha, yeah.
Yeah. So by Gen Alpha, it's like virtually gone. So it's not being hyperbolic when I say like there's a possibility that people might not read in the future because everything is done, voice activated, face recognition. We listen. I mean, most people get their news and stuff from podcasts nowadays. So they're not even reading. We're not reading papers. I can see this happening. So personally, I've committed to reading every single day. Just to keep the brain sharp because we're actually losing the ability to focus as well. We have very concerned about cognitive decline from the overuse of technology. Also, there's an issue with mania. People are manic because the amount of input that they're taking in every day is actually driving their thought process along farther and faster. And so people are speaking a little bit faster, they're moving a little faster, and it's like, holy, slow down.
So
calm down.
Theory.
Okay.
I have a theory. I think I probably could put this together, but I just like talking about it. During the Industrial Revolution at the end of the 19th century, you had an immense amount, I think it was like a 3,000-fold increase in the amount of mental institutions across the country.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And then after World War II, they began to decline slowly. And then all of a sudden, you remember, like, if you go back to like the advertising in the 1950s and the 1940s and stuff like that, it was not uncommon for a woman to go check herself into a mental institution for a week, to go in there, clear her head, and then go back out. And I think that has a lot to do with information overload, that our brains can only take in so much information. And when it begins to become overloaded, it affects the body, it affects the mind, it
Absolutely.
affects the psyche, it affects how we interact with society, how our behavior begins to patternize. And I think that when the Industrial Revolution was first enacted, and came about, this was such a radical shift within society, just how it overturned society, that it caused people to go crazy. And I think that lasted and persisted throughout until probably the 1950s when things began to settle down after World War II. But What did you have Donald Trump and Elon Musk calling for a return for over the course of the last 2 years?
Yeah.
Insane asylums. And they laugh and joke because it's for the Democrats, but it's not. It is for people because they understand the implications of what's about to happen and how it's going to affect people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's overstimulation. And a great example of this, if you look at a baby, right? A baby can cry. When a baby's overstimulated, every single mom listening to this knows exactly what I'm talking about. You know, you skip the nap, you decide to go to the grocery store anyway, you get in the grocery store and the baby just starts crying and you can't get them to stop, right? Overstimulation. There needs to be a break of inputs, especially when the brain is forming. So we know that children do this, they're permitted to do it because they're babies. And we expect that they're going to release energy through crying and fussing. But when we get older, we can't cry and fuss. We can't throw a fit on the grocery store floor. And scream and cry. Even when we're overstimulated, we tend to have to stuff it. And so that's when your health comes into impact here. So if you don't have an outlet and we're not regulating our nervous system, it leads to dysfunction in the body. And so now is the time, everybody, I beg you, take care of your health right now. I know it's summertime, and so I brought a special offer for summertime tonight. It is the summer weight loss pack. A lot of people want to drop weight for the summer. They want to go hiking. They want to wear shorts. They want to put on a bathing suit. Listen, there's still time to get started. Once you start actually losing weight, the great thing is that you feel more energized, you feel more motivated. And so I want to give you this offer tonight. I am going to actually give you a free ebook that you can go get. So you can go to redpillhealth.info, redpillhealth.info. You can download a free ebook. It's a summer weight loss plan. And I've put together a few products, and $153 savings in this product stack pack. $153 because I want you to take advantage of the buy one, get ones. So we're going to target your cortisol. Cortisol, stress hormone. It is why you are carrying weight in your abdomen. If you are carrying weight in your middle, this is why. Cortisol levels. So we're going to target that with some ashwagandha and uplift. That's a buy one, get one deal. Second thing we're going to target is protein levels. Easy, convenient protein, 40 grams in these sparkling proteins, and they do taste good, Josh. Ask your audience. They do taste good. So it's an easy, convenient way. So if you're saying, I can't get my protein grams in, you don't have an excuse. In a sparkling water, you can get 40 grams. This is going to hit your satiety. So it's going to help you reprogram your hypothalamus for satiety. Then you're going to get the Curb, which is a GLP-1 natural support. It's a fiber. You put it in water. It has a proprietary blend in it that stimulates your GLP-1. So that's buy one, get one. This never is buy one, get one. That's $88 a box, but you're going to get two. So this could take you through the summer and jumpstart your weight loss. And you'd only be paying a fraction of what you would normally be paying because you're going to save $153. Now, products are great. And you know me, products are great, but you've got to have community and you've got to have support and you've got to have coaching. And when you purchase my products, you get all of that from me for free. So you get all my coaching, my health text line. You get our Tuesday night weekly wellness workshops, which Jason was a guest on the Tuesday night this week, and it was so good. We were talking about your memory and your NLP programming and what you can do to push yourself to break old habits and begin new ones. So it was really good. And we had great community involvement. That group is growing now in the live. And so it's really interesting because we're having people that are like, yes, this works. I'm doing it and it's working for me. So that's wonderful when people get to share their stories because they've been in the group, quite a while now. And so they can come on and say, I've lost weight. You've changed my life. This is what I'm doing now. So it's motivating. And so that's Tuesday nights. And then, of course, I'm available to everybody on my health text line. You sit with me. Let's do a health assessment. We'll get your 90-day plan in order for weight loss if weight loss is your goal. And we'll get you feeling your very best this summer. So join me. Join me in the Naturally Inspired community. I think the Naturally Inspired community is one of the pioneering communities that is changing health. I'm starting to see people copy us. Yes, I am. I'm starting to see people copy us. They're like, well, that's a good idea, forming a community, doing these calls, health text line. It was here first. You want the OG. You want the naturally inspired version. You don't want to go anywhere else. So join us at redpillhealth.info, please.
Love it. And then also just text her 720-303-8868, but go to redpillhealth.info and then text her and be like, when do we begin?
And that's how it happens with the Red Pill community. We just have such a good relationship with this audience. They just, hey, I'm ready. I've been watching you for years. Now I'm ready. I'm inviting you. Text me 720-303-8868.
All right, guys. I'm about to head over to the OG show. That's in about 30 minutes from now. It's going to be on this channel. So don't go to Alpha's channel and watch it over there. I see you guys on YouTube jumping over to Alpha's channel because he posted before me and watching over there. Stay here. Watch it here. The OG show 30 minutes from now on this channel. I'll have it up and posted in about 15 minutes after this show ends. Tomorrow night, live Q&A, Conversations on the Fringe, Quantum Revolution, Quantum Biology Revolution with Nathan Boltz, doubleheader this Saturday. So appreciate you guys and all the support. We will see many of you guys here in just a little while. Everybody else we will see tomorrow on the Daily Dose, which yes, there will be one. Tammy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you so much. Thank you, Red Pillars.
And guys, we'll see you here in a little bit. Take care. Good night. Have a good one. See you next time.
There was a time when our children stood tall, hand on their hearts, one voice for all. There was a time when honor had weight, when the flag was a symbol, not a debate. There was a time when our history was known, with pride in the rules that made us our own. There was a time, respect for the brave, for those who bled, for the lives they gave. Now the homeland burns in silent war. Truth is twisted, we can't ignore. Voice still calls, we the people will not fall. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil under, patriots rise. We are one, land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time when truth was clear, when the media served, not ruled by fear. There was a time when leaders stood fast, guarding the people, defending the past. Now corruption wears a crown, lies are fed to tear us down. But Q said watch, and Q said see. The silent war will set us free. still there. Their blood, their hope, their sacrifice will not be sold for a life's price. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, the veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on. Or we will spend our sunset years telling our children what it was once like in the United States where men were free.
There was a time, the time is near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time. There was a time. Now is the time. Do it.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation. I want you to get mad.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
These people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"